Amazing. Okay, I was going to speak from down there, but I was told I was short, so you can't quite see me. So I'm going to have to come up here, and also the lights are here so I can see what I'm saying. So thank you for your illustration, Gaz. Kind of backfired a little bit, but there you go. It's all good. It's all good. Custard creams are the way forward. Amazing. So we have been talking about no other foundation at church, and what are we building our foundation of our lives on? Is it God? That is the question. And what is that foundation? And Kobe and Phil set us up so well the last 2 Sundays, giving us an introduction into this series about who is this foundation that we're building on. Like my lovely assistant at the side, preparing the way. So when we talk about foundations, generally they are unseen. They're underground, we don't know what they look like, but the house or the building is on top of that, and they're hidden. But through this series, we are bringing to light the foundations of our life and actually looking, are they healthy? Are they strong? Are they firm so that we can stand on them and help others as well? It's not just for ourselves, but it's for other people too. So we are going to have a little illustration this morning. Many of you know the story of the wise and foolish builder, and so we're going to illustrate that this morning. And I am going to ask the builder that I know, who has helped me learn over the last few years about building, Gaz's dad, my father-in-law, to come forward. So I'm going to get him. Gaz, could you grab a chair as well? To come this side, and we're going to illustrate this story. Thank you so much. If you could wheel those forward. And then I also need someone that loves the beach, a friend of mine who loves sand, comes alive when she comes to the beach. That is Cassandra Burton, to come and support me this morning. Amazing. So what we're going to do, it's a very simple illustration. We'll bring the Bible to life this morning on this table of this story. Cass, if you want to come this side. You also have custard creams as part of your illustration. We'll add that to the scripture. I don't know. So this morning, I want you to build a solid foundation based on your bricks that you've got here and also your sand here. And then we have a house that is exactly the same that I want you to place on top. Gaz's dad is already ready. Hasn't even had his cup of tea yet, but he's on it. He's on it. And we can get started. So Cass, you've got your sand in there, you've got your buckets, you've got whatever you need to create. We need the sun. Someone bring the sun to us. I can feel it with the heat of the lights. So it doesn't have to be too high. We're not going for custard cream high, but something sturdy just to illustrate this point of this story. See what you've got? Well, that's the point. The point is, I mean, if it works, then, yeah, I feel like my story's, like, over. Let the sun. So let's get this built. So we've got 3 at the bottom there. Everyone could be learning from this, I feel.
Take notes, mate.
Take notes. The tutorial, live tutorial here. YouTube channel available at a later point. But I've spent many times with my father-in-law, Dave, learning the different trades that he knows, including building. So this is cool to see. Cass, I've spent many times with you at the beach. But you've never taught me how to... It's not going... Yeah, keep going, keep going. I feel like I should have some music as we go in here. Or should I sing a song at the beach? Yeah, we can do 2 more, 3 more. Keep it sturdy. Keep going. We'll see how far Cass goes. I think you do need a bit of water, don't you? A little bit of water. Thanks, Gaz. Your assistant's here. Amazing. There we go. There is no cement in this, but yes. We're going more for just the illustration here. Amazing. And then you can pop your house on top. Your house has got a toilet in there, a bed, and 2 chairs. Standard. No, that is true. That is true. Okay, let's get your... Have you got your house as well? Yeah, let's get your house on top. Otherwise, we're going to be here a long time. Amazing. So, as you can see... Now, in the story of the Bible, there was no plastic pots. There was no plastic plates. But, for example, as the illustration was, if I was to come and blow wind at the bottom here, I was to knock it, the house is not going to come down. There you go. However,
the table might break.
The table might break. But if I was to go here and, you know, blow it, it might get sand inside. It might, like that. There you go. And so, as you can see here, we've got a brick builder here. Building, we'll work on that over the summer. We'll work on that. Lay on the beach. Enjoy the sun. Amazing. Thank you so much. We'll leave them there as we talk about that this morning. Amazing. I'm going to go to Matthew 5. So I'm going to set the scene for us this morning. So Jesus has just been in the wilderness, and the devil has tried to tempt him. And then he heads to the Sea of Galilee. And he asks the disciples to go on an adventure with him. And then he heads throughout Galilee. He's walking through. He's starting to heal people. The crowds are starting to gather as they start to hear about Jesus. And the word spreads. But what I love is he doesn't carry on doing that. He doesn't wait for more people to come, more of a crowd, create an event. He actually slows down and he goes to the side of a mountain. Apologise for my wording of mountain. That's how I say it. He goes to the side of a mountain and he sits down. And you think, Jesus, the crowds are coming. People are coming. They want to hear what you've got to say. But he actually sits down on the side of the mountain and he gathers the disciples round. And he starts to share stories with them. He sat down, he started teaching, and he starts to build a foundation with the disciples who are about to embark on the greatest adventure of their lives. Jesus teaches us how to walk a blessed, fruitful, and joyful life as you start to read through Matthew 5. And then we get to Matthew 7. And this is the story of the wise and the foolish builder, the stone at the bottom or the sand. Now, there's no point having all of those stories and parables before if you don't build a solid foundation. Because you can hear it all, but actually if the roots and the bottom of the foundations aren't solid, then it's just going to fall down. Sorry, go through my notes here. So, like I said at the beginning, the foundations are mainly unseen. They're underground, but at one time they were seen. Now, at Macy's school that she goes to at the moment, there's one building in that school that basically the foundations have gone kaput. That's the only word I can kind of give to this. I don't have the proper word for it. But basically, the foundations have gone. And the only thing they can do is knock the building down and start again. Now, we didn't know that. The school didn't know that. I'm sure they didn't want to know that. Finding out that the foundations of this massive building are actually crumbling and breaking. And so they need to now go in, knock it down, and start again. But at one point, someone built those foundations, and they did know what they looked like. They did know. But clearly, they weren't going to last for like a long, long, long time. It's so important that we do this well and we build firm foundations if we want the houses of our lives to stand firm. Not only for ourselves, like I said, but for others too. So we can lead them to the foundation builder. So how do we do this practically when we're talking about building foundations? I want to give us 3 ways to focus on. How do we build on a firm foundation of faith, family, and prayer? Faith, we need to position ourselves around those that will challenge us, who build us up, who will lead us back to the cross. We want a fellowship amongst other believers, those that have faith. I want you to ask yourself a question. Why is faith important to you? What things do you put in place to help you in your journey, especially when it comes to journeying those who live with you as well? If you've got children here today, why is it important to you that your child develops a faith that lasts? I've learned so much as Gaz has been working for Care for the Family and just being able to put language to some of this stuff around how we journey faith at home with our kids and those we live with. As parents, we are the biggest influences on our children developing faith and building healthy foundations. I want to read Deuteronomy 11:18-21 this morning, which is a key scripture. It says, "Fix these words of mine in your heart and minds. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Teach them to your children, talking about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates, so that your days and the days of your children may be many in the land of the Lord swore to give your ancestors, as many as the days that the heavens are above the earth." In that scripture, Moses doesn't direct us to any specialists in this to teach us how what the word encourages us to share, but he just talks about it in the day-to-day. As you're walking along the road, as you're sitting at your dining table, as you're getting ready for school, as you're driving to work. How do we share God in those moments? These are all practical things. They're not an extra thing we add in. They're something that we do along the way. And God is big enough and wants to be in those details of our life. So what does that scripture, Deuteronomy 11:18-21, what does that look like for you? And what does that look like for your home? The second thing is prayer. Is this our go-to? One moment. Family is my second thing. That was my second one. My third one is prayer. Is this our go-to? When things are not going great, do we turn straight to prayer? Do we turn straight to talking to Jesus? Or is there other earthly things that we focus on? When things are going great, are we still talking to Jesus? Are we still telling him? Are we still thanking him? In a relationship, conversation and communication are the foundations. We need to talk to each other in order to get to know each other. When I met Gaz in Australia, I met him, and then I left Australia and I came back to London. And we had a 1.5 years of long-distance relationship. That is the extreme, Australia to England. And all we could do was talk. We could just talk. And so we talked for hours and hours and hours. I don't know what about, probably me. I probably talked for hours, and you listened. But we talked for hours, and I don't even know what about, but it was even in the day-to-day. I remember Gaz was working for a church, and he would go around the building, locking up the building, and I'd be on the phone to him, talking, just doing life with him over the phone, so many miles away. But that's how we got to know each other. When we talk about prayer, it's just like talking to Jesus. Our relationship with Jesus strengthens as we spend time with him. It deepens as we talk to him and hear from him and listen. How are we making this a foundation? Firstly, for our own personal lives, but also creating a prayer foundation environment in our homes. And this is whether you've got kids or not. Like, how do we breed that? Maybe there's people that walk into your home. You have them over for dinner or for a cup of tea. How do we breed that culture in our home that actually that is our go-to? Growing up, I remember every morning, my mum, dad, and sister, we would read a devotional together over breakfast. And we would also pray, and we would write down prayers that we were praying for in a prayer journal. And my sister found it a little while ago and sent me some pictures of some of the things we were praying for. And it was filled with people's names that we were believing for, maybe friends at school that we were praying that they would come to know Jesus. Maybe people that weren't well, we were praying for. Maybe missionaries that were further away that we were praying for. A few times there were some prayers like, please let it rain on sports day, Quite a few times, because me and my sister did not like sports. But I can look back and I can see the miracles and the breakthrough from the prayers that we prayed. And I remember we used to go back and we used to tick them, be like, God, thank you for doing that. And that was a physical thing. 3.5 years ago, my dad suddenly passed away. No warning, he just ran straight into heaven. How do you journey that? Not only for myself, but for my 3-year-old daughter at the time. We started a prayer journal. We would write down lots of different things that we were believing for. And most of the time, Macy would say that she's praying for Grandad London. That's what we called him. She would pray for Nanny London. She would pray for Auntie Hannah. She would pray for Daddy and Mummy. That Jesus would help us not to be sad. As we started to write these things down, all we were doing was talking to Jesus. We were sitting on a bed, I remember it clearly, sitting on a bed and just a normal conversation. We didn't have all the answers. I still don't have all the answers, but yet we can create an environment where we just talk to Jesus and sit at his feet. Right. At times she would ask me questions about heaven, and I'd be like, go and speak to Phil Bolsh. He runs the foundation course. You can help with that. But what I learned in those times was to make it normal, talking to him. We couldn't see Jesus, but we know he's a healing God. We know he's a breakthrough God. We know he can make things change, and he's for us. And so making that normal at home in our family was a foundational principle that we wanted to breed in. And I just want to finish by reading a lyrics to a song that I absolutely love by Elevation Worship and Maverick City called Talking to Jesus. And I know the song, but it's only when I actually wrote the words down and then I started to read it for myself, I was like, wow, that is a foundational truth there. If we can build this now, the generations will be able to see what God can do. Says, Grandma used to pray out loud by her bed every night. To me, it sounded like mumbling, like she was out of her mind. She said, boy, this kind of praying is what saved my life. You should try it sometime. And now I know she was right. She was talking to Jesus. She'd been talking to Jesus for all of her life. Mum used to drag me to church Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. Khaki trousers and polo shirt, boy, I put up a fight. She said, son, one day you'll thank me for having God in your life. And yeah, I know she was right. My mum was right. Because now I'm talking to Jesus. She's got me talking to Jesus. Yeah, my mum was right. Because now I'm talking to Jesus. I love talking to Jesus. And I'll be talking to Jesus for the rest of my life. I've got 3 of my own now, trying to raise them up right. My oldest is 15, and I remember what that was like. Trying to deal with the drama, trying to figure out the questions in life. And I've been looking for a way to show him how to make it all right. Then he walked in my room while I was saying my prayers the other night. And he said, I'll come back later. I can tell you've got a lot on your mind. I said, it's not an interruption. You couldn't have picked a better time. Because I was talking to Jesus. Come over and give it a try. We started talking to Jesus. We started talking to Jesus. And now he's talking to Jesus. Thank God he's talking to Jesus. I hope he's talking to Jesus for the rest of his life. There's no wrong way to do it. There's no bad time to start. I don't have to sound pretty. Just tell him what's on your heart. Because it's not a religion. It's more like a friendship. Just talk to your Father like you are his kid. Just start talking to Jesus. Start talking to Jesus. Just keep talking to Jesus for the rest of your life. I just love the power in those words of the generational story of God's faithfulness and goodness. And it's so simple. Just talk to Jesus. Sometimes we need to make that space. We need to, carve that space out for intentional times where you're going to be like, God, I'm going to sit down and I'm really going to pray and intercede here. But you can also talk to Jesus in the car. Yeah, and I often do, on the way to school, on the way to work. Just talk to Jesus. Spend time with him. That's how your relationship will grow. That in the Word. So today I want to encourage you how to build those solid and firm foundations. One, through faith, how we're getting around other people as well to build up that faith in us. Through our families, how we're making that at home, and through prayer. So when the ups and downs of life come, when the wind hits the basement, the foundations of our lives, it doesn't crumble. It doesn't filter away. But it stands strong. It stands firm. And in order to do that, we can then help others in that journey too. So there you go.